I'm Ed Clark. For those of you I don't know, a whole bunch of you are like family now, and I'm president of the Wildlife Center of Virginia, and we're here for one of our favorite things to do. It seems like we've been doing it every 2 weeks for the last couple of months, and that's to come together and put a bald eagle back into the wild, and we're really excited to do that. I'm especially pleased today because I have a number of colleagues here who are the people who do the work that have brought eagles back from the brink and are helping us with the study. My colleague Dave McRuer. Dave is the Director of Veterinary Services at the Wildlife Center of Virginia. He's board certified veterinary epidemiologist and the head of our veterinary team, and the one who really directs and coordinates all of the work to take these many birds, 33 so far this year, bald eagles, and we've had a very good success rate this year. We're really, really pleased. I think this is about the 12th one we've released so far this year, I believe, and that's unprecedented. We've never been able to get that many back into the wild. One of our other colleagues is Dr. Bryan Watts. Bryan is the director of the Center for Conservation Biology right down the river here at College of William and Mary, and Bryan is one of the lead researchers on bald eagles in Virginia, and you did your PhD work on that too, didn't you?
No, but worked 20 years or so.
Yeah, he's about to get the hang of it now. I first met Bryan when he was a student, and he's still got more hair than I do, but his day will come. So in any case, we do have a great pleasure of putting an adult eagle back into the wild today, and she's pretty special. I will tell you now, before we get down to it, that just because you're the boss doesn't mean, in fact, it almost never means you're always right, or that you always think of everything. And I got about halfway down here and remembered that I had put my eagle gloves in the back seat of my car where I won't forget them. We don't happen to be in the car today.
Oh no.
So in any case, you will see me reaching into this cage attired a little differently than normal. So I know the Nesty group in particular is really into nuance and really pays very close attention. So it is not because I'm changing protocol or throwing safety to the wind. It's because I forgot the darn things. And so we'll make do, but it'll be fine. And the other question that came up the last time was I was wearing these glasses. My yellow glasses, and I understood there was incredible speculation about the effect that the yellow lens has on the eye of the eagle, that they can't see through it to see my eye. And these are my shooting glasses, and these happen to be the ones I did remember to bring. I do have clear ones someplace, but so these are here, and that's why they're being worn, and there's no ulterior motive or sinister plot behind it. So in any case, on to the fun. How many of you have never seen an eagle release before? Hooray! All right, we've got some rookies. Well, we're going to give you a good show, I'm sure, one way or the other. Hopefully it won't include the color of my blood, but it would not be the first time. The Wildlife Center, for a reminder of those, for those of you who already know, but especially for those who haven't been here, we are the leading teaching and research hospital for wildlife medicine. I don't think it's immodest to say in the entire world. 2 years ago, the Wildlife Center was named the Conservation Organization of the Year for the entire United States. And two of the other award recipients that year included the Government Conservationist of the Year was Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger of California for his work on climate change initiatives at the state level. And the Conservationist of the Year was Nobel laureate, former Vice President Al Gore. We were the Organization of the Year, so those boys were in pretty good company when they were hanging there with us, and we were pretty proud of that. But that has been, you know, people say, oh, well, you all have just gotten so successful. Yeah, it's taken 27 years of hard work to become an overnight success. And we have done a lot in that period of time. But while we've cared for 53,000 animals, this bird being just one of them, we have also, perhaps more importantly, trained an entire generation of wildlife veterinarians that are practicing all over North America and indeed around the world. We have people coming to us from every single vet school in the United States and Canada and from 32 other countries. that come to study with Dave and his team at the Wildlife Center of Virginia. Our newest intern on our veterinary team is Mattis Levitz, who was here with me at the last release. He is here from Estonia. He'll be with us for a year, and we've created a specific internship for international veterinarians to prepare them with the skill set they will need to go do wildlife medicine outside the United States and outside North America, where they don't have perhaps the same technical and professional resources available. So he's going to learn to do roll your own medicine and be self-sufficient with his own diagnostics, and that's the way that Dave and his team have structured this. So we are meeting the needs not only of wildlife in North America, but literally around the world. And I need to add this up, but I think we have, the last time I added it up, we had been active in training and presenting programs in about 15 other countries where we go there. And we've had some adventures, as I mentioned once before, getting thrown out of Venezuela about 4 years ago at gunpoint, which was a fairly memorable experience. But, you know, we do what we need to do and where we need to do it. Now, kind of bringing it back home, a lot of folks wonder, well, how come you come to Westover every 2 weeks to release eagles? Well, first of all, we've just been blessed to have so many eagles that have been releasable. I think of the first 9 we got in this year, 8 of them had to be euthanized on intake. So later in the year, the odds have gotten better for these birds. We had a lot of early jumpers, birds that left the nest early, unable to go on their own, unable to fly, actually, in a couple of cases. Some from injuries, some just because they were too young. And those have really made up the birds we've released. The last, I think, 5 have all been immature birds. So that's good. And we bring them here because right across the river at the James River National Wildlife Refuge, very large concentration of eagles, and particularly young birds, learn a lot from each other. And if they get really hungry, it always helps if somebody else has a fish and you can steal it, which is also an important skill set for birds like bald eagles. So that's why we bring them here. And also, as you drove in, you saw what a beautiful place Westover is, and our host, the Fisher family. Lucia Fisher here is our hostess. She and her husband Fred have been friends for many years, and they are great lovers of eagles and conservation, with many forms of recognition and many awards for the way that Westover is managed, and we return this bird among friends. Now, what's different about this bird is that we know a little bit more about it than is often the case, because when this bird came in, this bird had a band on its leg already, which means almost always that bird was banded as a chick. And sure enough, we put in the call to the U.S. Geological Survey's bird banding laboratory, and they said, well, have you ever heard of this guy, Bryan Watts? And so, yeah, we sort of have. And so, Bryan, would you tell us about the bird, about the banding?
Yeah, sure. This bird was banded as one of 2 nestlings that was in a nest at Camp Perry. Camp Perry is just across the peninsula on the York River there. And it was part of a study that my graduate student, Catherine Martin, did in 2003 and 2004. She actually worked here at Westover too, in a nest just down the way there. And she was looking at diet and chick growth. And so we had video cameras in a lot of these nests, including the one here at Westover. We also had a nest on Berkeley with a camera in it. And she was looking at the types of food that came into the nest to feed the chicks. That was a 2-year study, but this particular bird was one of 2 that was in a nest there at Camp Perry, and so we handled it twice. We would go into the nest and measure the chick when it was about 20 days old, and then come back when they were about 40 days old and measure the chicks again. And so we banded this bird as a nestling and didn't know anything about it until we got the call later, so many years later. It's not that often that you band a chick and then are reunited some years later. So that's the reason why we're here to see this bird. But that study told us a lot about the diet of these birds as a function of salinity and what they're feeding on up here on the upper James, the upper York, the upper Rappahannock. It also told us that the Chesapeake Bay is a tremendous area for eagles. It turns out that the chicks here in the Chesapeake Bay grow faster than any other population across the range. So it's an incredible place for eagles. You might know that our population went down to about 30 breeding pairs in the 1970s. This year we flew the annual survey and had 615 pairs here in Virginia in the portion of the bay.